We have started, we are very glad to have the second very, very interesting topic today, which is about lean model. This is a very interesting theory which talks about how entrepreneurs can build a very scalable model. And to discuss this, we have an expert with us. But before we do that, I would request Ms. Obranila Das from TiE Kolkata for opening notes.
Thanks, Ravi. We are glad to have Ravi, the founder of Starting Up with Ravi Ranjan, with us for moderating the session. And he has helped us a lot with organizing this event. Ravi, thank you so much. And we will also have, as Ravi already said, Mr. Praveen Dorna. So he'll be joining us very soon. And let's hope that we all will be enjoying the session. Please let us know. Please give us your feedback. And also, I would like to tell you a little bit about TiE Kolkata. TiE Kolkata is an organization which fosters entrepreneurship, and we have been here for the past 25 years, and we have 61 chapters across the world and 19 chapters alone in India. So we basically motivate small, medium, and large entrepreneurs as well to enhance the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem in and around Kolkata. Our focus is on West Bengal, but we do support the East as well. So to know more about us, do log in to kolkata.tie.org. It's KOLKATA, kolkata.tie.org, TIE.org, or simply write to us at info@kolkata.tie.org. It's info at kolkata, KOLKATA.tie.org. Thank you so much. Over to you, Ravi.
Thanks a lot, Obranila. Really appreciate that. And I'm very excited to bring in our speaker for today, where he'll be covering Lean Business Model Canvas. We have with us Mr. Praveen Dorna, who's the co-founder of Socio Hub. It's a SaaS community management platform for brands to build their private social networks. He has over 11 years of combined work experience working with startups, franchises, SMBs, MNCs, and non-profit organizations across verticals such as payments, travel, fleet, education, robotics, media, and ERP technologies. He has worked in India and in the USA. He holds an MBA degree in entrepreneurship from Babson College, USA, ranked #1 in entrepreneurship globally, and was previously involved in startup wings at corporates, where he built out an innovation management program for a $6 billion company in the US. He consults startups and incubators part-time, and he's a visiting professor on lean startups at SIBM Pune and Flame University, in addition to serving on the board of nonprofits. I know Praveen for quite some time now, and it's really exciting, Praveen, to have you here. First of all, thank you so much for taking out time and join us. Today, our audience includes first-time entrepreneurs. We have some SMEs, and we have some business owners who are kind of at a growth spree. So it would be great to hear from you. What is your take on the Lean Model Canvas? Maybe we can start with a quick introduction about the concept, and please do take us through this interesting journey. Over to you, Praveen.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone. Just give me 1 minute. I had to restart my system, so I'm just pulling up the slides.
That's all right. We can start with a quick note from you.
Yeah. 1 second, guys. Yeah, so entrepreneurship is something like this. So nothing happens as expected. So I'm just sharing my screen with you guys. Just give me a second. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear. No issues.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, hello everyone. This is Praveen Dorna. I'm really glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Ravi. So it's a pleasure being here and interacting with all of you. So I had my own journey in terms of, working around with the complete spectrum, actually. Like in my last 12 years, I have worked across the spectrum from everything from startups, small, mid-sized businesses, MNCs. I ran a franchisee. I worked for nonprofits. So I've kind of covered the spectrum of it. If any of you want to learn more, happy to do it. Beyond that, like we ourselves have been working on building multiple startups in the last 4 or 5 years. So I went through my own journey around building all these. And right now we are at a stage where we have almost kind of figured out and working towards getting to the growth stage. That's where we stand today. So my startup is more around, we are building a platform where anybody can launch their private social network in minutes. So that's what we do. But anyways, for the context of the session for today, it's not about me, it's about you guys. So we would be covering in terms of business model canvas, right? I mean, that's what the topic for the day is. So just would kind of try to simplify it. All of you might have some thinking around like what a business model canvas typically is, right? What we do is, given that we have like limited time, Ravi, I think it's like 1 hour, right? In all.
Yes, we have an hour, yes.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll try to at least weave a story around it, right? So that because it's too much of an expense for you, correct? So that is where you need to be very cautious about first figuring out your customer segments. So let's start with customer segments, right? Like I said, starting from different places is possible, but the ideal way, or maybe the right way, at least for this starting point, is this. After that, maybe you can play around with the rest of the things, but always start off with customer segments, guys, right? That's the point one that I want you to take away, right? Because if you're selling to students, the business will be very different. If you're selling to parents, the business will look very different. If you're selling to colleges, it will look very different, correct? So what I want you guys to do is for each of your companies, right? Always figure out your customer segments. You might have a question, right? I am not clear about my customer segment. That may be one of the question that you might say that, hey, Praveen, all looks good, but maybe I don't know which are my right segments to go behind. Nothing wrong about it. Most of the startups don't have that clarity on what is the right customer segment. But you might be thinking about 2 or 3 segments, right? You might say that, hey, I think I'll sell to colleges and I think I'll sell to parents, right? What you do in your first iteration is start making a notes of your customer segments, right? And start thinking about them, right? These are some of the questions. I'm happy to share this deck. This is nothing on my own. It is completely taken from the book. I'm just helping you understand what is there in the book. So it's like a quick short summary of what it is. The book has a lot more in depth, but I'm telling you the story in a different way. Right. So whenever you're talking about customer, right, at the end of the day, it comes to what problem are you solving, right? Like let's say with COVID and all, right, somebody came up with, let's say masks, N95 masks, right? The problem is now they want to protect. They want to save people, right? That's the problem. The problem is with COVID, people are dying. And the solution is N95 masks. Now with N95 masks, you're creating value for a user by saying that, hey, I'll give you N95 mask, put it on, and you can protect yourself from COVID. Just a very dummy or random example. But what you're doing is you're understanding who are you creating value for. Now here, what is customer segmentation here? You can sell it to the government. You can sell it to government, which will do bulk distribution, or you can sell it to individuals, right? Where you can directly sell it to me through an e-commerce site, right? Or you might even sell it to, let's say, some distribution channels, right? Let's say you sell it to a Reliance outlet, and Reliance will do the distribution for something else. Now, what am I doing is now each of these segments are very different, right? If I have to sell to the government, the approach is very different. If I have sell to a retailer, the approach is very different. And that is where this word comes into play. Hope you guys are understanding now why we should pick a segment first. So the first thing is, the customer segments, because these are the building blocks that tell you who are you targeting, right? So this person, if you look at him, he's starting the journey from there now, right? Into the BMC. And this is where first and foremost for each of your companies have that clarity saying that who is the person who is benefiting from it, right? When you understand that word pretty well, who is benefiting from this, then you'll start understanding who are your most important customers, right? People who will buy from you and who will make you successful, right? That is what you need to understand. So let's start with that. And then, when you talk about each of them have their own set of things. I will not get into a lot of depth of it. We'll come back to it, but I want to first cover the BMC because typically, BMC can go for 2 hours, 3 hours as well if you start spending time on each of them. But I'm going through the gist so that we have time to cover each of them, right? So now you started off your journey over here in the customer segments. Now, let's say each of you went and defined your customer segment saying that, hey, Praveen, I'm selling N95 masks. I want to sell it to all the, the physical stores in my city. All right, that's a segment that I want to sell to, and I want to be a distributor that way. Now, your customer segments, right? After this, let's say you decided that you want to sell to all these retailers, right? Now the next question would be, hey, like, I think somebody has chat. So then, oh, you can't see the PPT? I'm sharing my screen. Um, can you guys see my screen, guys? I'm sorry if it's not visible. Can somebody confirm if they're seeing my screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen, but
Okay. Just click on my
yeah.
name. In case you guys can't see it, just click on my name. Yeah, it's visible. Okay, great. Great, Shubham. Thanks. So now let's say, you have figured out your customer segment, right? That's a great first starting point. And even if you don't worry about it. The way to figure out your customer segments is go talk to them, right? Go talk to distributors and say, hey, I have like 5,000 N95 masks. Do you want to buy it? Or, if you want to know if somebody will buy it on internet, launch a Shopify store, try selling it and see whether it's working or not, or take a survey, right? There are a number of ways in which you can figure out your customer segments. You don't have to be super perfect, but just understand that somebody should be interested to pay, right? That is one of the best ways to know your customer segments. After customer segments, right, now what do we do? Uh, so again, like you said, you can jump into anywhere in the canvas here, right? But let's go to the next things, right? From here, right, the next thing, whenever you say a customer segment, what would be the next thing you'll think about? Um, when I said I'm selling N95 masks to retailers, right? I'm talking about why are they buying N95 masks? Because they want to protect themselves, right? Or let's say I'm directly selling to B2C. You'll probably understand that better. Exactly. Value proposition. Naman got it pretty much right. So the next thing from customer segments that we jump is value proposition. So value proposition is what is the value you're adding to this customer, right? Like for example, if I'm selling you a pen, I'm giving you a medium to write, right? If I'm selling you a book, I'm probably helping you learn something. So at the end of the day, right? Like for example, if you're buying a new laptop, you might be learning courses on it. So the value proposition for a student will be very different than a value proposition for a professor. For a professor, when I go sell a laptop, I might be saying that, hey, buy this laptop, it will help you do Zoom classes with your students, correct? But if I'm selling the same laptop to students, I will probably go and say, hey, you can listen to all your professors, or you can attend school or college right from your house, right? The value proposition will significantly change. Agree? So that is where when we get to the value proposition, what happens is your customer segments and value proposition are very interconnected, guys. So don't think that they're two separate things, right? The moment I said professors, my value prop changed. The moment I said students, my value prop changed, right? So don't think that a business can have one value prop, right? Your value prop will depend on who are you selling it to, and that is like very important for you to understand. So value propositions are like places where you can actually understand what is the value you're delivering to the customers, right? So and another major mistake most of them typically make in value proposition is they keep selling features, right? The moment I say, hey, I'm selling you the new iPhone, or I'm selling you the new Galaxy S20, right? When the moment I ask you what is the value proposition, you might say, hey, 8 MP camera, or like 12 MP camera, right? Or it has this technology, or you can connect to laptop, or whatever it is, right? So you start talking a lot of these things, but what you're talking about there is features. You're not talking about the value proposition. So most of them make a very common mistake of understanding what a value proposition is, right? Value proposition over there is if I come and tell you, hey Naman, I'm selling this phone. It can help you take very good pictures in low light. Then he doesn't even know if it's an iPhone, it's a Samsung, or it's a it's a different brand like Vivo or something else, right? So the point here is the point is not about selling the features, it's about selling the value, right? What benefit are you getting out of something, right? Value, equate that word to benefit. You'll probably able to connect better. So the whole goal is to think about what value are you delivering to somebody. That is where this whole value proposition comes in. So these are some of the questions. I'll share the deck with you and you guys can go back and think about it, right? What value are you delivering to the customer, right? What is a problem that you're solving for the customer? Like, somebody wants to take pictures in low light. If you're giving them a phone that can, help them take like bright pictures in low light, you're solving their problem, right? Which customer needs are we satisfying, right? Is it emotional needs? Is it like any, physical needs? Like, they want to travel from one place to other, right? That could be a need, or it could be just mental satisfaction that, you keep a tracking watch on a kid, that would have a lot of mental satisfaction for a parent, right? Where the customer need is you're helping a parent track his kid. Like for example, if they're very small and they're going out to play, they can keep a track of their kid, right? So this way, start understanding what is a value prop. It's not about that watch. It's not about that camera. It's not about that phone. It's about what is the value they're getting by using each of these things. That is what you need to understand, right? Hope you guys are getting the value proposition the way it should be done, right? And if you want to learn more, probably you guys can just go to YouTube. There's another canvas called Value Proposition Canvas. It's again done by the same guy who came up with Business Model Canvas. You can just go check it out. The video will be self-explanatory. What you do is you talk about what features you have and what problems and what jobs needs to be done by a user, right? Like for example, a parent, let's say a parent is in one place and their small baby is sleeping in a different room. Now, let's say they put a small camera to make sure that the baby is safe and it's not crying and all, right? Now the camera is the product, right? And the monitoring system from your phone is a product, IoT, right? But the job to be done is they just want to monitor the small baby who might be in a different room or they might be in a different city and just want to keep a watch on their kid, like when their maid is at home, for example, right? So this is what this whole value proposition canvas works around. So go check it out. You'll start getting your knowledge around it on how this works. So if you look at this whole thing, right, there's a value proposition template, again, like defined by some of these guys, right? This is how you should try and put your value proposition, right? When you eventually do the value proposition canvas, your statement will eventually come out like this. You can say that our website, like for example, I'm selling N95 masks to people on, let's say, my own website, right? N95.com. I'll probably launch a website around that. Or savefromcovid.com, and I put it out. Now I'm putting a value proposition here where I say that, hey, our website helps, let's say, a student or let's say a health professional, right, who wants to protect himself from COVID, right? Job to be done. You can see these things, right? Customer segment, product and service, jobs to be done to protect himself from COVID by doing XYZ, right? So here you are saying that what is the benefit, by minimizing the risk of, getting exposed to the virus, and at the same time ensuring that they are in a safe place or whatever it is, right? So here you're using verbs, right? It's like actions. Actions are like benefits. Like, I'm monitoring, or I'm saying that I'm saving time, or I'm saying that I'm making money, or I'm enjoying something, I'm minimizing some effort, right? So this is where, like for example, if Facebook came, it helped you connect with people even without you going physically to somewhere. So it helped you minimize the, the amount of time you previously used to interact could be like once in 6 months or once in a year. Now with Facebook, you can start messaging each other, see each other's updates and all, right? So this is what it is. And then unlike others, right? What is your differentiating point? Everyone provides value, right? Like, Zomato says they provide value. Swiggy says they provide value. But or Ola, Uber say they provide value. But what is the difference, right? This is where you as a company needs to start understanding what is the value that you are providing for your community, right? That is how you need to start looking at it. There's some Q&A here. I'm not sure what it is, but there's some mark, but I'm unable to open it for some reason. Not sure. Maybe Ravi or you can check it. One of you can check it. So the value proposition is that. So I'll stop here because it's we are moving on with the time. So, but one thing I hope you guys understood that customer segments and value proposition are something that are connected, right? And based on the customer segment, the value proposition will change. If you're not sure, then take 2-3 customer segments, 2-3 value props, and try to build a business model canvas for each of them. Okay, don't write all the 10 customer segments in one BMC. Take 3 sheets if you have 3 customer segments that you want to experiment with, right? So for in each one, just take one customer segment and then put the value prop and keep filling up the rest of the sheet accordingly, right? So that is where, again, like, we finish this and we finish this. Now this person has moved from here. So customer segment is, let's say, a student. A student wants to get a job. Value proposition is getting a job, right? Now the question comes, great, a student wants to get a job, but how does a student get a job, right? That is where we move to the next one, right? And what is the next one typically? How do people get to the job? Exactly, Naman. Yeah, right. So you might be saying you can do a job through a career fair, correct? Like offline, or you can get a job by using a web portal like Naukri.com, correct? or you can even do like a small, hiring drive or a hackathon, right? That's another channel. So that is where now let's get into the story of, let me take student and job as an example. Probably all of you will easily connect. I don't want to switch too many examples. So let's say a student wants to get a job. Now you talk about all the channels in which that is being happening now, right? So for your business, the next thing that you would move to is channels, where you are saying that, okay, great, student has to get this gift, right? Like let's say student does this, and the benefit that they're getting is this gift over here. And how does the student get this gift? He needs something to go from here to here, right? And that is where the channels come into play. So channels are like this building blocks which help you go from your problem to your solution, right? Like a student getting a job, that's success for a student. And this is what the channels define, right? So how do you deliver? So this word is important, guys, if you just want to remember. How does a company communicate its value proposition, right? How does it reach its customer? A value proposition reaching to its customer, right? That is what is a channel. So let's talk about channels, right? Now, when I say channels, you might be thinking, hey, there are so many channels to do. I can do it on a website. I can do it on a mobile app. I can do it offline, right? I can do it on phone call. I can do it on SMS. There are 100 channels in which you can play the game, right? Now, this is where you again need to make a business decision, because somebody might want to run a hiring company through offline channels. Somebody might want to run a hiring company through online channels. Somebody wants to do a lot of hackathons and do it, right? So you need to again ask yourself all these questions. And what are these questions, right? Through which channels can a customer segment be reached, right? Now let's understand this for a bit. So what I mean by that is, when I say which customer segment and which channel, the thing that you need to ask yourself is, what are the places where students go to, right? If you know where they go to, then you can pretty much pick those channels accordingly, right? I'll give a small example again. Like let's say if students are using mobile phone a lot, and they're used to getting to all, like, online platforms on Facebook and wherever it is, right? Then if you post about your company in those places, then they'll very, very quickly go to the website, correct? Because they'll see it on the same things. Or if they're using WhatsApp groups, you broadcast in WhatsApp and they'll get to you, right? So this is where you need to understand where are they actually uh, currently using the system, because if you know where they're using the system, you can go there. You don't again have to recreate it, correct? So you need to do that. So one thing you need to understand is, you might want to come up with new channels, like, for example, before Swiggy, Zomato came in, delivering food online was not a common thing. But whenever you're creating a new channel, right, you have to burn a lot of money. So if you want to be one of those companies which will burn a lot of money, then you can go for new channels. But if you are like those 99% of the companies which want to just benefit out of the existing channels, which is a smarter way, honestly, use the existing channels where they already play, so that it's very easy for you to reach them. And a few sort of questions that you need to look at is, how are we reaching them now, right? As of today, how are other companies, right? You might not be the first job site. There might be a lot of other job sites which are launching. So how are they reaching them now? So where do students go, and how do these guys connect with the students, right? And how are our channels integrated? So let's say you're using multiple channels. Let's say you're doing hackathons, and even let's say you're using an online website portal and an offline hackathon event. Now, how are these two integrated? I mean, is there a website where they can go and register for your offline hackathon event, right? And is the dots connected together, where you can again, after the hackathon is done, you'll give them some points, or you'll give them a special offer to get an internship on the platform, right? So that way, this is where you can play the channel integration game. And of all these things, right? Now let's say you have said offline is great, online is great, XYZ is great. You need to see next three questions, right? Which one works best, right? As in, which is very easy for them to use, how will they go play the game and all. That's what it is. Second is, what's the most cost efficient. What I mean by that is, let's say if you're doing offline hackathon, let's say you're charging 500 rupees per student, and you get, let's say, 100 students, right? Probably you're making around 50,000, right? 500 into 100. Now, let's say your expenses are 40,000 rupees. That means your profit is 10,000 rupees, right? Now, let's say you do an online hackathon, and everyone is sitting in the room, and instead of 500, you're charging them 300, right? And there is no physical expense at all. There is nothing for rental, or nothing, no papers to distribute, nothing. Everyone is sitting in their houses. Now you do the hackathon and let's say 300 rupees into 100 people. Again, 100 people attend this workshop. Now probably then 300 into 100, which is how much? 30,000, right? Now you're making 30,000 profit instead of 10,000 profit, right? Your cost of physical space is not there. Your cost of XYZ is not there. Again, like I said, I'm not discussing the pros and cons of online, offline. I'm telling you, for you as your business model, whatever it is, offline or offline, online, you need to see what is the most cost efficient, because you don't want to burn more money than what you make, right? That is what I'm trying to tell you. So how are you again playing around with this? So this is where the channels come into play. So to make it very easy for you, I just want to add a couple of things over here. I'll not go deep, but just help you understand. There are two types of channels: direct channels and indirect channels. Okay, a lot of times entrepreneurs or founders, right? We always think that we have to sell it, right? But unfortunately, we will be a small 4-member team, 5-member team, and you'll be stuck, right? You'll feel that, hey, my sales guy went, he met 3 people and nothing happened, right? And that is where the problem with most of the startups is, because you think that we have to do everything, right? You don't have to do everything, right? There are direct sales channel where you are selling. Could be if you're an offline provider, you might have an office, you might have a physical store for selling some dresses, right? So it could be any of these could be your direct channels. That means that you are owning the channels. Then you have indirect channels, right? When I'm talking about indirect channels, you might say that, hey, if somebody is selling pencil boxes and you're selling pencils, right? Both of you might be selling it to colleges, right, or schools. Now you can probably go crack a deal saying that, hey, I'm based out of Hyderabad now, right? So you come and say, hey, Praveen, for Hyderabad market, you sell pencils for me, and for Kolkata market, I'll sell pencil boxes for you, right? So you can start partnering with people, and it could be a revenue share. We might not even share any money with each other. I might say that, for every sale that happens, give me 20% of your cut, right? And for every sale that I do for you, you give me 20%. For my sale, I'll give you 20%. Now, suddenly what's happening now, let's say you crack deals with 25 people in 25 different states. Now, suddenly you have your sales team multiplied by 25, right? So that way, your different channels are at different levels, not only just for selling, it can be for any of the stage. That's what I'm trying to tell you, right? I just spoke about selling as the example, but you can have own channels or partner channels right from the time you go through this whole journey, right? Let's take about um, let's say one of these health drinks, or let's say one of your soaps that most of your film stars advertise, right? For awareness, let's say a new soap, Lux, or somebody else has come up with a new soap. Now awareness, you say that you go to TV channels, right? You see ads in between TVs. That is where my channel for awareness is TVs. After that, for evaluating, what do? I might go online, or I might just go by just check out or ask my friends how it is. And after that, let's say I go purchase, right? I go to let's say a physical store, could be any mom and shop, or it could be any physical stores around your retail store where they're selling that soap, right? You go make a sale of there, right? And after that, you get it. I mean, delivery and all is more about if you're selling on Amazon and all, and something needs to come house and all, right? So delivery is more for goods that are not immediate, right? Then this could be very different, where delivery could be at your house, or it could be through a delivery guy and all. And after sales is after you buy it, will you go buy it the next time? Or if it's a car, right, you might want to do the maintenance, right? Monthly servicing or like quarterly servicing of your car. See, what I'm trying to tell you is at every time, right, you're going to a different place, right? Here you're doing it on TV, here you're doing it on review sites, here you're doing it in a store, right? Here you're doing somewhere else. So your channels are different for different things. So always understand what channels are you using to deliver what value to them, right? So for your business, go back and start analyzing, saying that how do I pick my channels, which is cost efficient, how to play the game. That's what is the thing with channels. Great. So now you understood these 3 things, which is like, hey, a student wants to find a job, and I'll use a website, right, as a channel to deliver that value, where I'll get employers and employees. And let's say we are building a Naukri.com, right? All of you know that company. So a job, student is finding a job on Naukri.com. Let's put it that way. Now, as a company, you have figured out these 3 things. Fabulous, right? Now, where do we go next? The place where we go next is, you might see this, right? But let's think logically, right? let's take physical play as an example, right? Let's say you're seeing a theater play, right? You see there's a front side of it, right, where all the artists come and do the show, right? And there is a backstage as well, right? In the backstage, a lot of stuff happens, right? Where all the dresses are arranged, all the makeup guys are there, right? The music guys, the sound guys, the visual lighting system guys, everyone is there, right? So what happens over there is, there is a front end to it, and there's a yes, exactly, and Aman. So there's a front end to it, and there's a back end to it. So this whole thing that you see here is right the front end. This is what rest of the world sees. This is what your internal team sees, right? These three things and these two things is what only you as a founder and your employees know, right? These things are something this rest of the world, that's the perception. Like, let's say I'm coming and applying as a student, I only see these things, right? I don't see what is the story behind it. I mean, how many of you really know how Amazon works in and out? You don't know it, right? Amazon employees, do they know it? Yes, they know how Amazon works, right? But what you know is this, Amazon is like, they do delivery service. You know that they are targeting people who want to buy stuff online, right? They are doing it through a website or an app, right? And you know how they're maintaining customer relationships, right? So that is where we'll go to the next one, which is customer relationships, right? Because I have giving my job, but how do I maintain that relationship with them? Because once I deliver value, it's not like one time, right? If you are like, let's say you're a owner of a bakery, right? Somebody comes and buys bread from you. It's not that you want them to come again and again, right? That's when you do business. You can't keep selling to new people every single time. It's not practically possible. And that is where customer relationships come into play, because you are asking them to come back again and again. And you do that using customer relationships, right? So how do you do customer relationships is, it can be at any level, guys. So what you need to understand here is, there's no right or wrong answer for this, right? It's up to you and up to your cost, right? You might just say, I'll only have a chatbot, or you might say, I'll only have a phone number, or you might say, I'll only give an email ID that people can message on, right? Or I'll just give a WhatsApp messaging number, right? Or you might say, I'll put an account manager for you, right? So there's no limit on how you can define what kind of customer service you want to give, right? So you might say, and then you want to build, let's say for Diwali, you want to send sweets. Let's say you're running a jewelry store, right? And your customers are, let's say, high net worth, right? You might want to send them gifts to each of them individually, right? Because that's your way of maintaining customer relationships, so that they remember that, hey, so if any of these festivals are coming up, you might want them to come back and buy gold, right? So that is what you might be looking at, right? Navratri celebrations, or let's say Dashra, or whatever it is, right? So this is the way you are building a customer relationship. You go to Amazon, any problem you have, you can reach out to the customer service, right? This is what customer relationships are. So go back and look at these questions, right? I'm not covering everything, but I want you guys to go back and think about customer relationships, saying that, how do I want to maintain my relationship with a customer, right? How expensive are they? Like, let's say you're selling a 10 rupees thing, but your customer cost for each customer is, let's say, 500 rupees. Let's say you put a person to talk to them at any time they call, and you're giving them a lot of money. Then you're making 490 rupees loss, right? So you need to do your customer service according to it. I guess you guys use Uber and Ola, right? Uber and Ola doesn't have a call center, right? There is a reason why they don't have a call center. That's exactly this reason, right? It's not that they can't afford a call center. The reason is it's not worth in terms of cost, and it doesn't make sense for them in terms of debating with people, right? A rider says that the driver is wrong. The driver says that a rider is wrong. So there are a lot of issues. So they think about all this, and that's why they give you only mailing, messaging, reporting stuff. They keep the touch point of customer service very low. So you need to also look for your business. So it's not that extremely high touch point of service is great or extremely low touch point is bad. Get out of that notion that what it is. You need to think what is the best for your company, your business. That's the story with that, right? So I hope you guys understood the front side of the play, right? What rest of the world sees and what your world sees, as in your team, like you and your 4 employees, right? What do they see, right? Now let's move to the second segment. This is the first segment, and you know the story, and I hope you remember the story, right? Who is the customer, what I'm selling to them, how am I selling to them, and how will I keep selling to them, right? That is the story that I told you here. After you learn the story or remember the story, let's move to the next side of the story, which is more about, I don't want to go with this. I mean, book covers it very differently. I'm covering it very differently. but ideally book goes down, I go to the left because it doesn't make sense to me. So typically in this thing, now let's think about all these things together, right? I don't want to say this first or this second, this third. We can go even that way. I'll tell you how to go about it as well, right? So at least my pick, your pick could be very different. Use your own logic and build on it. The way I would pick is if these three things are there, right? So let's understand what each of them are. One is key activities. Key activities means what are the most important things you should do in your company, correct? Then second is what is key resources. Key resources means what are the standard resources that you're using in your company, right? As in what is the thing that really matters that is driving your company. For example, you might be a person manufacturing biscuits. Your resources could be your staff. Your resources could be the manufacturing equipment and all that stuff, right? So all these things could be different resources. Partners could be something that you might not want to do in-house, right? You might want to just partner with somebody else in the market and do it. Now, each of them look important, correct? Each of them, feel that, oh, this makes sense. Now, how do we actually go about all this and try to make sense of it, right? So when you look at this, right, the way at least I would recommend the order is start with key activities, right? Because unless you don't know what you're doing, how would you even define what you need, right? Partners are like friends, right? Resources are like your family. Unless you know what you want to achieve, you don't know how will you use your family, how will you use your partners for, right? So we need to first always think in this line saying that, hey, what are my key activities? Again, like I said, this is my own storytelling. You're more than welcome to follow the book, which is slightly different. So I go about this in this way. So for me, what matters is, how do you put the key activities together, where I'm saying that, okay, to deliver this kind of experience to the world, I want to put my internal team together and make it happen, right? So when I say key activities, we're talking about what are the things that really matter, right? Key activities could be what? Key activities, let's say, let's go back to Uber, you'll probably connect very easily now. Uber example that I showed, right? Now, let's see, key activities are platform development, maintenance, right? Uber app, or they want to hire drivers because they need drivers, right, to run a Uber system, right? They have a lot of operations because drivers are in different places, waiting at different places. They need technology, maintenance, and all. So what it is you have key activities. I'm surprised that none of you are asking a question, but how would you know what is a key activity? Let me ask you that question, right? It's a very important question to think about, right? What is a key activity? Do you guys have any thoughts on what is a key activity? You can probably type it in the chat, because as founders, everything looks important, right? There's no right answer or wrong answer that, hey, you'll say everything is super important. So yeah.
So if you want, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you. You can speak.
Okay.
All participants, you can raise your hand if you want to answer and I'll unmute you.
Yeah. So I'm just asking one question, not complicating life. Put it in chat, or if you want to just come on video as well, feel free, just raise your hand. So how do you define something as a key activity? Right? I mean, because we're doing a short session, I'm like answering most of it. Otherwise, I would have asked you so many questions, right? Yes, the primary purpose of business, right? Let's say you're running a bakery, right? Or let's say you're running a store. You don't want to manufacture a soap, right? You just want to sell a soap. So you really know what is an activity. So I'll tell you a small hack, right? That will really help you guys understand how to see what's a key activity. And by the way, like I said, everything in this changes. Okay, key activity this month might be different than key activity next month. So don't think that you can make one sheet and use it for 3 years. Not going to work, right? So one very good hack that works for me is make a list of all the activities. Don't think if it's important, if it's not important. Like let's say even getting your legal stuff done, let's say getting your accounts filed, or like let's say buying the soap, right? Whatever it is, make a list of all the activities, right? And then decide what should be done in house and then what should be outsourced. Whatever should be done in house will come to resources. Whatever should be done outside will go to partners. Okay, hope that makes it much easier for you guys to understand. So key activities are only the things that you want to do in house, right? As in what are the things that really matter. and everything else you push it out to rest of the world, saying that, like, take Uber, right? Uber uses payment gateway, right? They might use Stripe for payments, or Uber uses maps, right? They didn't build maps on their own. What did they do? They partnered with Google, right? And they said, hey, Google, give me your technology, I'll put it in Uber app, and we'll run, right? Or they said, hey, Stripe or whatever, Razorpay for India, if you want to think about it, right? They said, give me the payment gateway, I'll plug it into my system, and I just want to run. I don't want to build another payment gateway. I don't want to build another maps company, right? So that is where the partners are. Now, what is something that you want to maintain in house? These are things that are so important that you can't outsource, right? So what I mean by that is, like, if you're running Uber, right? Let's say they give their technology to some service provider. Now imagine what will happen, right? Let's say the service provider shuts down. What will happen to Uber? Or let's say the service provider went on a vacation and some issue happened and the whole Uber is down. They will get screwed, right? They will be totally lost. Their company will shut down, right? So that is where they can't outsource some things to rest of the world, and that is where those are key activities for them. So even for your company, right, there are always some key activities that you should make a list of what you want to achieve. If you're running a tech company, right, ideally you don't want to outsource technology, right? So this is how it works typically, right? So I'll leave it over there. I hope you guys really got the gist of what I'm talking about. And then let's move to key resources, right? I'll help you very easily understand, right? To do these activities, you're using resources and partners, right? Let's go back to the example that I told you. Let's say, you want to top the exam, right? Let's say you're writing GMAT and you want to get 715 GMAT or whatever, like you're writing the medical exam and you want to be India topper in that. What do? You might take help from your house. You might take help from coaching centers, right? So what is in-house is what you're doing with your resources, right? So I mean, though it's a crude example, just understand the difference between these two, right? So whenever you're talking about in-house resources, it's very simple. Analyze them in these 4 words. Okay. For each of your company, resources could be physical, resources could be intellectual, resources could be human, resources could be financial, right? What do each of them mean? Exactly. So Naman seems to have done BMC before. That's good, Naman. So pretty much these are the 4 things that you need to actually look at, right? So physical, for those of you who are new to BMCs or in general, physical is more of the physical inventory, right? Could be the machinery that you're using to manufacture the biscuits, right? Or it could be, the office that you have, right? All these are like different things that might be super important for you. So resources can be physical. Don't think resources means just people, okay? A lot of us might think that, hey, resources means just people and people and people. That's not what it is. People is just one part of it. That is what is human part of it. Physical is the infrastructure you need, right? You're running a tech company, you might want to use Amazon cloud services, right? You might want to use a lot of, physical infrastructure like office space for having your team, whatever it is, right? The second thing that you need to know about is intellectual. Intellectual is some of these companies have intellectual property, right? That is where the intellectual comes in, right? Any patents that you have, right? Like for example, COVID, right? Everyone is coming up with their own vaccine and they own the rights for that vaccine, right? That's intellectual capital. So those are the intellectual resources. Your business might or might not have intellectual resources. Figure that out. What is good for you and what is not, right? So then let's go to the human part of it. The human part of it is the team that you need to build, right? It could be your marketers, it could be your accountants, it could be anyone, right? That set of people who would make that happen. Like for Uber, it could be like their in-house marketing team that is selling, right? And all this is for in-house, right? Don't think about drivers here. That's not what you want, right? And the last one that we're going about is financial, right? Financial is how much money do you need? Is bank giving you money, or investors giving you money, or what is the story around this? These are the financial resources to run your company, right? Who is putting in the money? Basically, that's what it is. Now, I think if you understood this well in-house, then you'll understand what is outside the house, right? That is where your partnerships come. And I hope you guys understood what partnerships are. And with partnerships, I just want to tell you 3 things over there in partnerships, right? These are the different types of partnerships, guys. Just think about these 3, 4. Remember these 3, 4. You can go get your job done. One is strategic alliances. It's like between non-competitors, right? Strategic alliances could be like I'm selling pencils, you're selling pencil boxes, right? We don't compete with each other, right? Because I'm not selling what you're selling. So that way it could be strategic alliances, what I told. So you can strike partnerships about that. Like Google Maps and Uber are together because they're not competing with each other. The second kind of thing that you might want to see is co-opetition, right? Co-opetition is a word that some of you might have heard, some of you didn't. Co-opetition is you're cooperating and competing, both, right? That is strategic partnership between competition. I mean, it might sound very counterintuitive for a lot of you, but it's a very common thing in the industry, right? Like most of your phones that you use in India, the Indian brands are actually made in China. The same guys make that brand and different people put a different label and sell it in India. Or, think about your Apple iPhones, right? The Apple iPhone screens are sold by Samsung, okay? So Samsung builds those screens for themselves, and Samsung even sells those screens to Apple. So because Samsung controls 90% of the screen's space, right? They bought out all the reserves for that. So that is where it's not that Apple will not buy from Samsung. Apple will buy from Samsung and use it and run their stuff. So never think that I can't partner with competition. There could be places where you have to work with competition, right? So figure it out. Then joint ventures, maybe not typically for your use cases, probably slightly higher, bigger companies. Like let's say, somebody wants to enter India and you are the guy who can take them in the Indian market well. So you do a joint venture, right? Like how Walmart did with Bharti Airtel, right? So they're like different joint ventures. Like Maruti did with Suzuki, Hero did with Honda, right? That is how you got Hero, Honda, Maruti Suzuki, so many companies in India. All these are joint ventures, right? So then you have like a priority relationship, buyer supplier relationship, right? Buyer supplier relationship is very simple. Like the way I put it is, let's say there are 100 people buying COVID masks, right? You might say that, hey, I'll be your regular customer. I'll sell like the highest number. So you need to give the first lot to me, right? So you're saying that don't give it to others. If you get your material, right, sell those masks first to me, and then whatever is left, sell it to others, right? That is where the buyer supplier relationships comes, where a lot of times you might partner and strike deals where you say that I should get the first priority, I should get the best price. That is the partnerships that you want to strike. Okay, so I hope you understood that. Now I'll just go to the last part. Anyways, we have like almost on time, so I'll just take just 5 more minutes and close it off, right? So this section you got to know, which is rest of the world. This is like your world, own world. And then let's figure out how both of these things should run, right? Both of these things, you're not doing it for hobby, right? You are doing it to run a business and probably be successful by making money or creating value to someone and all. So let's talk about these two things, right? First is let's talk about revenue. A lot of you might be thinking that, hey, I'll give it for free. 6 months later, 1 year later, I'll start charging money. So we also did that mistake, and it's a bad mistake to make. So wasted a lot of time and wasted a lot of years, to be honest, not even time, right? So ideally look for revenue models, because even if you don't implement it right away, you should know your revenue models. You should try out your revenue models, right? Instead, if you think that your product is not up to the mark, instead of 100 rupees, take 50 rupees. It's okay, right? But take some money, because you'll get serious people who will at least really value you, and because they're paying, they'll ask you questions and they'll make sure your product is good, right? So that is a great way of working, right? By taking money. So build your revenue streams, right? Again, there are so many models around it, right? You can sell on a one-time basis, you can sell on a subscription, you can do all that stuff. So I'll stop there, but what I'm saying is, see how they are paying, how much are they paying, right? Like, if you're selling a biscuit, your competitor is selling for 10 rupees, 20 rupees, you can't sell it for 200 rupees, right? The same thing. So, you do your competitor research, understand the revenue streams, how they're coming in. Some of them might do through direct sales, some of them might do through subscriptions, resellers, right? Affiliates. There are n number of models. Pick what model works for you, and at the end of the day, put your things, right? So that way you'll know how much money you are making, right? It's like you're filling a tank, right? Let's say you have an empty pot and you're filling up the pot with money, which is, it needs to fill up. And then let's say you have a leakage in that, right? Let's say if you're filling water and there's a small hole below, which is taking out the water, right? And that is where your costs come in, right? So the costs are trying to take money away from you, and the revenues are trying to fill the tank, and the cost, the leakage or that small hole is taking the money out of your account. So that is where the cost comes. And it's very important, because if the rate at which the money is going out is more than the rate at which money is coming in, then at some point of time you'll burn out, because you will be filling in water, right? Similarly, you'll be filling it with money from debts, from friends, from investors and all. And there'll be a time where you'll feel that it's too much to take, right? That's when you shut down. So I'm giving you this example because probably can relate much easily. So you need to build your cost structure around it. And when you build your cost structure, uh, because your startups, or most of us are startups, you don't have to be MBAs, or you don't have to be accountants to do costs, right? All you need is a pen and paper, or you take an Excel sheet and just write it out. Because even if you write out all your line items and all that stuff, right, it hardly takes you 10 lines or 12 lines, right? You might say, I have a cost for an employee. I have a cost for, let's say, my office. I have a cost for electricity, right? So this way you make a list of all the costs. And if you have something physical like transport, XYZ things, right? So keep making a list of tasks, costs, and then see how much money can you charge, how much money are you, burning for that, and how much is the profit between these two, right? That is where you need to start thinking about, can you really make money in this business, right? So you need to really get to that stage where you're putting that. So again, like I said, costs are like two types, right? One is fixed cost and one is variable cost. So what is the main difference? Again, I'll not get into MBA jargon and accounting jargon. Let's keep it simple. Fixed costs are costs that you typically have to pay, irrespective of whether your company is running or not. Doesn't matter, you keep paying, right? Let's take an office. It typically is like a fixed cost for you, because even if you go on a vacation for a month, your landlord will come back and say, hey, Praveen, give me last 1 month's rental, right? So it's like a fixed cost. Then there is a variable cost, right? Like let's say you are doing a party every new year, right? That's a variable cost. It's not something that happens every day or a recurring basis, right? It's a variable cost. It's not happening every month or every week, right? So this is how you need to see what is fixed. Variable could be even electricity for that matter, right? 1 month you might get a bill of 1,000 rupees. Other month you might get 1,500. Let's say 1 month you are totally out of office, you never used power at all. You might be even getting just 100 rupees as an electricity bill, right? So it's a variable cost. So that is what you need to understand. So hope you guys really understood and connected the story better now. The reason I'm putting all this together is I just want you guys to understand, because this is like your first step of showing what you want to tell to the world of what your company is. Then you are saying that, how do I make it work? Because if Amazon is able to sell you and deliver stuff to you so seamlessly, what is happening in the background story? That is where, write out details. Just because they gave you a small sheet with small boxes, don't think that you have to limit to this, right? You can go a lot deeper and play the game. And then for all this to work great, guys, right? You want to do a nice, beautiful movie and you have a great cast, but unless you pay their salaries, nobody's going to act, nobody's going to put it on Amazon Prime, right? So for that, you need to make money and you need to have business models. And that is where your cost structure and revenues come into play. And trust me, if this fails, all this would fail, right? So your cost structure and revenue stream, the way I look at it is, it's like a building here, right? So these things are like, first floor. This is like the ground floor. If your ground floor is not working, your first floor will anyways not work. Correct. So make sure that you put all these things together and analyze these things and get to a very good business model canvas that really works, right? So that's the story about it pretty much. And that's where I want to take a stop, because I think I pretty much hit my time. So I think I'll hand it over to the team at TiE on how they want to take it forward. Or if you have any questions, I can start taking some questions based on like the amount of time left.
Right. If anybody has any questions, you may raise your hands. Or you can also type it in.
There's something in the chat Q&A. I don't know if you guys can
Yeah.
see that. I'm not sure.
How to maintain customer centricity, Praveen?
Sorry, can you repeat that question for me?
How to maintain customer centricity?
Okay, great. That's a great question, guys. Honestly, so I'll tell you one nice story. Okay, uh, so before this, I was in the US. So I was even interviewing for Amazon. Okay, so I was in the final round of interview. They called me to Seattle for Amazon actual interview, right, for the role. So what happened over there was I understood what customer centricity is after going there. Okay, I'll give you a small example of what they did. Right, Harry Potter is a very popular book. So people order for Harry Potter book the moment it's launched, and Amazon was one of the partners for pre-ordering, right? So the day Harry Potter was launched, and they had an order in a very remote town in UK, one of their employee literally went, drove for 4 hours, and delivered the book, right? Because the postal services was on a holiday, everything was there. Like, that is what is customer centricity. Customer centricity is something where you are so mad about your customers that they love you and you love them, right? That is the mutual love that you have for each other. Now, coming to the question, what customer centricity can be maintained, or how customer centricity can be maintained, I think if you maintain your customer relationship channels really well, right? It's all about that. Like, again, it depends a lot on which kind of business are you in, right? You can be doing a B2B business or a B2C business. Let's say you're doing a B2C business. B2C business means take an Amazon, for example, right? Or take Flipkart. They can't keep in touch with all of you, right? It doesn't matter. They can't, talk to 100 million people at one time. Not practically possible, right? Over there, the best they do is they send you messages, they send you newsletters, they send you mails, right? They give you discounts, or they do a lot of AI around, triggering the right offers for you. So customer relationships are maintained that way. If it's a B2B company, right, it's very different. Now take, like, you have a car dealership, right? Over there, you might want an account manager. You might want a sales guy who will call up once in a month and ask, hey, how is your car? Do you need any help, right? And again, that sales will change a lot, right? If you're selling a BMW, they'll have that guy call you every month. If you're buying just a Maruti 800, those guys will not call you, right? Whenever you have your servicing time, you go there. So how do you maintain is, you need to figure out your channels on how to keep in touch, right? Forget business, guys. Like, think about, these 20 people in this meeting today, right? How do you keep in touch with each other? Do you create a WhatsApp group and keep in touch? Right? Keep in touch. Whatever figures out in the budget that you have, right, for keeping in touch, do that. So if you know what it is, right, they will tell you everything that it is. Because at the end of the day, like, if you're selling biscuits to schools, schools will come back and tell you that, hey, your biscuits taste is too sweet, or it's too salty, right? And then you go back and change it and again sell it. They'll say that, hey, this time it looks like a bit more salty, can you reduce it a bit more? So you'll constantly get feedback, so keep it that way. I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure who asked it. If you put it in chat, I can see it. I think if you just put it in Q&A, I can't see it. So that's just the
I mean,
difference.
it's Naman. Naman.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Naman, hope you got your answer, Naman. Yep. So any other questions, guys, for me? I think I'll just delete this. I'm just leaving my things. I mean, it's very easy to find me. You can just search for Praveen Dona, you'll get me on internet. So anytime you have anything, just feel free to reach out. I mean, I can still continue to take questions. I'm just sharing this screen over here with my contact details. I'll probably be a bit slow, guys, because a lot of stuff is going on from my end, like where I myself slog like 40 to 16 hours a day. But I'll reply for sure, right? I don't have like really big problems in replying, like on WhatsApp, LinkedIn, wherever you feel comfortable, you can ping me. But expect slow replies. But yeah, that's about it. And we can go back. Any other questions that you guys have, I can just answer it as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think I hope, I think only Naman was the most active guy. I hope the rest of them did understand. Or so whenever something happens, right, we don't understand whether people got it or people didn't get it. So Rachna is asking something. I'm looking for a workable business model canvas on Excel. It's very simple, Rachna. Go and make your own Excel sheet. Right? It's just 12 names. Put it. Right? Or just search for Google. Search on Google saying that business model canvas Excel templates. I'm sure somebody might have created it, right? So want to add numerics. Numerics doesn't come for this. Numeric only comes for the financial parts, right? So whenever it's a financial part, what you do is just take an Excel sheet, just put the left-hand rows, right? Say that, hey, salaries, office costs, right? Whatever it is, put those things and add numbers beside and just play around. It's basic Excel numbers play, right? Just do it. You don't have to do it in a business model canvas. Just add one more sheet in that, put the numbers, right? Whatever you put in BMC is more about for you to know that these are the 5 costs that I have. You don't put your numbers in a BMC, you just do it additionally, but just put the main headers because that is what is burning all your money, right? So you want to reduce that or you want to make it more efficient. So just Google it, you'll get it, guys. So that's not a problem at all. Okay. So yeah, and yeah, you need to put some effort from your end. So everything is not going to come easy in life, right? So there is a lot of stuff on internet, and trust me, I myself have taken close to 50 or 100 BMC sessions, right? So there is a lot of, imagine how many people out there are talking about BMC, right, on internet. So you can, there is plenty of material. Just go read. The book itself is like 400, 500 pages. If you just to go check out the business model book, they write damn cases for every small thing. But like if you understood what I said, I think you'll get most of it. It'll be like a refresher for you. But on and all, I hope you guys got some good insights beyond just the headings, right? I'm not here to tell you what the headings are. I'm sure all of you guys know the headings. It's about now you're able to connect the dots and remember the story, because you don't need a physical sheet. You need to know the story, right? What I told, hey, first thing is customer segments. Then we went to value proposition, and I'm delivering value proposition to this, and then I'm maintaining customer relationships. So now if you remember the story, what I told you, right, you'll remember for life. And that is what will really help you guys think, because you don't have to go back and look at sheets all the time saying that, hey, what was that first point, second point, right? As founders, you will not have that time. Embed all these things in your brain, think like stories, and use these stories to understand how companies work, right? Yeah, thank you, Shubham. Glad to be here. And yeah, it was very unexpected. Pretty much I stopped taking sessions, but Ravi pinged me, and all this happened. So glad to be here. And over to you, Abdullah. Whatever is the next steps, I think we can get going on that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. Thank you so much for this wonderful and interesting session. I'm sure all the participants did enjoy it. And Naman, thank you for being so active. Uh, I would now like to take this opportunity to thank all our annual sponsors: Tata Telebusiness Services, Shritij.com, Diadem, Cashless Bazaar 10 Downing Street, ICICI Bank, and 1X Solutions. I would also like to reiterate that if you want to know more about TiE Kolkata, please visit kolkata.tie.org. It's kolkata.tie.org. Also, you can take a look at our Facebook page, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And see you at on next Saturday with another session with another interesting speaker. And don't miss out on these sessions, because they would really help you out. Thank you so much, and thank you, Praveen. Thank you, everyone.
Cool. Thank you so much. Do you want me to stay, Brilla, or is it done like for the day? Because
So we are done for the day.
done for the day.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much.